Welcome to Work in Progress, featuring the man, the legend, Sly Marbo. Welcome back to Work in Progress, everybody. And this episode, Work in Progress, I've got myself a Sly Marbo. Yeah. Ever since they announced Sly Marbo, I've been looking forward to grabbing a hold of it just because it's such a cool model. And then since then, I've been reading up on the fluff of Sly Marbo, and it's awesome. And it took me ages to realize that this was actually a play on Sylvester Stallone. Yeah. Anyway, somebody had to explain it to me. But anyway, so we're gonna unbox this thing, put it together, and paint it up. So it comes in this cool box that kind of looks like a Munitorum container, and his Polaroid has sort of been taped to the front here. And on the back here is a classified transmission saying from Colonel somebody, probably Strachan, to High Command, this man is a menace, blah, blah, blah. He killed 300 things just with his hands or his knife, but he's doing really well, so you should leave him here, basically. So it's a funny little transmission there. So I couldn't get a hold of this at our local GW because I wasn't in Ottawa on Boxing Day or the 27th, so I ended up in Mississauga at Games Workshop there with Jordan, a great little store if you live near the Sauga area. Great little GW there who had a bunch of these, so I got one up, I picked one up fairly easily. All right, let's unbox this baby. And the top is like a little handle there too. It's not a real handle, but it's drawn like a handle. Pretty cool. Made in the UK, not China. All right. So, inside his box, you get the model, which is fine cast, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not sure why they didn't make it in plastic. I don't know. Maybe you can comment below if you're knowledgeable in the ways of model making and why this was not made in plastic, but in fine cast. Anyway, and then we've got here his data sheet. Well, first of all, how to put them together, which looks fairly easy. Then we've got all his colors. And then we've got his data sheet here in English, which has been leaked many times. But yeah, there it is. Maybe I'll just stick that in my Astra Militarum Codex. So there we are. And then you get this kind of poster here. So this is Sly Marbo's file and a poster of Sly Marbo on the back, which is pretty cool. And he's the ultimate kind of living up to the hard sort of jungle fighter theme of the Catechins. And he is Catechin only, so if you don't play Catechins, too bad. And just points out you know, his details. So he's got the watch there and the headband and the hair, and then he's got the explosives in the back. He's got his special sort of, looks like an Uzi, and then he's got his sword or his dagger, so combat knife. So anyway, this is a fun little read there. And then we got his model here itself, which we'll crack on and open up. So here we have his base, which is fairly detailed, and the orc head, which goes on it, and then the little bit of bramble brush with the detonator there. Right there. And on the second piece we have most of his body there, his head with the cigar, his arm with the gun, the leg that's stepping on the orc head, and the arm with the dagger, which is unfortunately slightly bent, as you can see. And then we have base, the only guardsman you have that has a 32mm base. Okay, so we're gonna get on and put this guy together and see what he looks like afterwards. All right, he is assembled. It's a little bit finicky. Pieces don't fit very super precise, not like plastic, and some parts required a bit of bending. So the hand and the sword and the head and the leg didn't all fit perfectly without some bending. And then the feet in the slots in the base didn't, and the head in the base didn't quite fit without some bending. Otherwise, it went together not too difficult. The little Venus flytrap at the back with the detonator, it just sits at the back. It's a completely separate piece. And that's it. So Sly Marbo is assembled. Just looking at his rules, so so he's a beefier than normal guardsman. So he has 2+2+ weapon skill, ballistic skill, which I don't think any other guardsman has. Strength 3, toughness 3 as usual. He has 4 wounds with 4 attacks and a leadership of 7, and his save is 5+. So not too bad. He has this pistol, which is a pistol 3, auto wounds on a 2+ for infantry, and strength 5, 1 damage, so it's not too bad. He has this Catachin Fang, which is this envenomed blade, which again wounds infantry on 2+ and is strength 4, 1 damage. He would be strength 4 in combat because he's Catachin. So he is a Catachin, so he gets strength 4. So he would actually be strength 5 in combat. Auto wounding on 2+, so not too bad with 4 attacks. And then he has grenades, just frag grenades. So not too bad. His stats, weapons are not bad. He's obviously designed to kill infantry, lightly armored infantry, I'd say. Although it doesn't really matter, I guess. Yeah, like he would. Toughness doesn't matter, but he has no rend, so. He cannot be issued orders, and he can never be your warlord. Lethal ambush, so this is his main rule. So he basically deep strikes anywhere you want, and after he deep strikes, he can do one of these 3 things. He can either move D6 immediately and gets an extra 2 attacks, so it goes up to 6 attacks. He can snipe with a pistol, so he can use his pistol and shoot immediately and shoot again in the shooting phase. And during this turn, he can shoot characters. So that's interesting. That might be one of his more useful things. But again, you're not going to be killing any 2+, 4+, 3+, or 4++ characters with these weapons. Maybe like a commissar or something. And then he has the ability to detonate explosives. So pick a unit on the battlefield. Pick an enemy unit on the battlefield. Any enemy unit. And roll a d6. Subtract 1 if it's a character. And add 1 if it's a unit of 10 or more models. On a 4+ suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 7+ suffers d6. So it just says pick an enemy unit on the battlefield. So it can be any unit. It doesn't even have to be near where he is, which is interesting. And potentially on a big unit of 10 or more, do d6 mortal wounds. He gets 2 to his saving throws when in cover. And he, at the beginning of your turn, once per battle, he can just disappear if he's outside of 6 of the enemy, and then reappear at the end of your movement phase in the next movement phase, and then use lethal ambush again, this stuff. So he's 65 points. So I think he may prove himself to be a useful inclusion for behind enemy lines, kind of grabbing objectives or line breaker, things like that. I'm not sure he's going to kill very much. And so in that way, he's 5 points short of a Eversur assassin and way weaker than an Eversur assassin. So he's probably a little bit overpriced, to be honest, but might be worth just trying splash him in. In any case, even if I don't use him as Sly Marbo, once he's painted, he's going to be a company commander. So that's going to be a cool use for him too. So we'll just wait for that to set, and then we're going to start painting him up. Alright guys, Work continues on Sly Marbo. He has been base coated with a nice coating of white spray, and he's ready to be painted. In deference to the legend of Sly Marbo himself, I'm going to be painting him traditional colors. So skin will be traditional skin color, and all the traditional colors as suggested by GW will be going on this guy. So we're gonna get started. And just a reminder before we actually start to paint him up, if you like this video, please click on the like, and feel free to subscribe to the channel, and let's get started on the old Sly Marbo. Alright, basing done on Sly Marbo. Not too difficult. I always, if I had to give a tip to anybody for painting, and God forbid people are taking tips from me, but I would always paint, as I call it, from deepest to most superficial. So you can always, easier if you start with whatever's deepest and is covered by everything else, and then start covering it up on your overruns, you can save a lot of time. So the deepest is the pants and the jersey, so that's what we did. And then you end up getting the most superficial detail to finish off. So like the headband, all the little sacks and stuff, the headband and the little details like that. So and the silver details. So depending on the model, sometimes I do paint a whole thing all the way through. So for example, I do all the skin, including shading and highlights, and then start working on other bits. But for this guy, I thought it was easier just to go back to my usual method, which is put all the bases in, shade everything, and then pick out all the fine detail. So that's pretty good. I wasn't sure what to do about his hair. It's kind of blonde. So I just put some Mornfang brown on there, which is a kind of a light yellowy brown. And then I'll shade the base of it and then pick out the tips with yellow to kind of make him more blonde. I did pick out his cigar here with the brown as well. I'm not sure how to make it kind of glow at the tip. Have to look for advice on that. And his eyes, I'd like to be able to pick out, but they are really small. Like really small. Like this is pretty zoomed in. So I'm gonna have to be very careful about that. But he's a pretty muscular guy. It should be easy to pick out his muscles. Hopefully do a good job on that. And then when he's completely done, we're going to go work on the base. He's a lot of detail here. He's got his extra sort of ammo there for his gun, some kind of a flask or something with some straps across it, which I picked out with the brown. And then he's got sort of little buttons and stuff on all the bags, which I picked out with silver. So tried to keep as much of the detail as possible. It's a pretty detailed model. And we're going to go on and shade this guy now. Alright, some careful shading here on the Sly Marbo. Flesh shade for the flesh. Get some right into the eye sockets there. Looking nice. And Agrax for the red and for the hair. And really trying to get it to pool just on top of that headband there, so at the bottom of the hair, to make that kind of darker at the bottom, and then it will lighten it up as it goes to the top. And then basically no everywhere else for the silver, for the black, and for the camo pants, and for all the browns. So fairly straightforward to shade this guy. We'll just let him sit here, and I'll come back to him tomorrow and start highlighting. Alright, progress on Sly Marbo here. I don't even know if this shows in video, but I spent quite a bit of time picking out the details. So the reds were highlighted with red and then orange. That includes the headband. There's the back of the headband. The brown bits highlighted in Baneblade brown. All the way around. You see the strap there. Silver as usual. I tried to be a little bit sparing, keep the silver and the details there. I also tried to silver up the edges of the barrel and the sight because they were black to make them look kind of metallic. Not sure how well I did there, but that is what it is. Dark Reaper and then Fenrisian Gray on the black for extra highlights there. As you can see on the jersey here that there's actually 2 layers of highlights. There's the Dark Reaper and then the fine edge highlight of Fenrisian Gray. There you go, on the jersey. and then the green highlighted with Strachan green, and then Ogren camo, super fine highlight. Looks pretty good. So next I'm going to do all the skin. I haven't done the skin yet. And then I'll try and do the eyes. And then I'll have to figure out what to do with his cigar. I want to try and make a glowing tip, but don't know how to do that. Oh, the other thing I spent quite a bit of time on was the hair. Because you know that was a brown base with Agrax in the recess bottom just above the hairband. Then I stippled it with thin little stripes of what did I use? The Baneblade brown as well. So thin little stripes, you can just see the stripes there. There's a darker band of brown, then brown stripes, and then super edge, and then a dry brush of that brown on the top, and then super edge highlight just on the edge of the hair. It looks actually a little bit like Vanilla Ice. Super edge highlight there, just on the edge of the hair, with Screaming Skull actually, because I didn't know how to get a blonde look. I didn't want to put yellow on. So Screaming Skull on the edge there, and then lightly dry brushed on the top of the head there to complete the hair. So that looks pretty good. Sly Marbo on his way. I'll just do the skin, eyes, and the cigar, and he'll be done, and then I'll do the base. Alright, flesh is done. Looks pretty good. So that's a layer of Kislev flesh on the top, leaving only the recesses in between the muscles showing. And then Cadian flesh tone on top, and then a highlight of Kislev flesh on the raised surfaces of the muscle. Looks pretty good. Gotten decent at painting muscle since painting all those corn reavers in Shadespire. And then the face, obviously a lot of detail on the face, sharp angles. He's a chiseled kind of guy. Picked out the sternomastoid muscle there behind the jaw. Picked out the jawline, top and bottom lip, nose, nasolabial folds, cheekbones, and the brow ridge. So nice and sharp details on his face. Pretty chiseled kind of dude. That leaves the eyes, which I accidentally got some Kislev flesh into, and actually it looks okay. I'm too chicken to paint the eyes. It's just tiny, tiny, tiny. I don't have a brush that's that small enough, and I don't want to ruin the face now. It looks okay the way it is. So I chicken out from doing the eyes. I'm not going to do it. If you want me to try the eyes, please comment below. Yeah, I just bailed from the eyes. Now I need to finish this off, the model off. I knew I haven't done the base yet, by painting the tip of his cigar. Alright, the basing is getting done here on Sly Marbo. So basically I painted in the brown bits of the base, and then because there's this stark edge where the model is and where the base is, because it's just like a plate, I put some Sterling mud or Battlemire, whatever, the thicker one, the texture paint around the base just to kind of smooth that transition a little bit. So that it wasn't so stark that he is standing on a piece of plastic that is sitting on another piece of plastic. So that kind of smoothed out that transition a little bit. And then I painted all of that Steel Legion drab, kind of blended back in. Then I picked out the orc head here in Wa flesh, and then I picked out all the green bits here in Caliban green, including the little fly trap at the back. And then I picked out the demo box at the back here. So it's a little bit tricky because of the positioning. You have to go through the legs here and everything, but it's not too bad. So I'm just waiting for that to dry. Then I'm going to shade it. I'm going to put Athonian camo shade on the head, on the orc head, and then I'm going to put Nuln oil on the other green bits, and I'm using some Agrax for the earth there. Agrax earth shade. And then we'll highlight it up, and then Sly Marbo will be completely done. Oh yeah, and just a comment here on the cigar. So I did a line of red, a line of orange, a line of yellow, and then a tip of white. It's really hard to see because it's so small, and I don't even know if any of those colors are actually showing. But yeah, there you go. Alright, Sly Marbo is done. And so I got the base dry brushed on the brown with Terminatus, a couple of layers of highlight on the green, and the face of the orc, and the plant is done, and the bomb is done. So Sly Marbo is done, and he's ready to take part in my Catachin Lucky 188 list. He's pretty useful, I think, for 65 points and a character who can disappear one turn and come back the other turn. Certainly a third turn deep strike into a backfield objective of your opponent's. I don't think he's good enough to kill anything, so I think he just stays there, and if your opponent doesn't deal with him, he disappears on turn 4 and comes back on turn 5 to grab you Line Breaker or something. I think 65 points is worthwhile to grab Line Breaker, so I've made space for him in my pure Catachin list. So we'll see how it goes, but thanks for watching for Sly Marbo, and see you next time on Work in Progress. If you like this video, please click like below. Feel free to subscribe by clicking the can hammer symbol there on the bottom left, and do consider supporting us on patreon.com by clicking the link that you see up there. So thanks very much, and see you next time.